So the law of attraction isn't working for you? We're going to find out why on today's episode. We are lifers, and this is Magic for Life. What's up, lifers? Michael Johnson here with the Magic for Life podcast, and I'm excited that you joined me today because we're on part 2 of why the law of attraction isn't working for you. Now, there's a lot of stuff out there, right? A lot of people are saying law of attraction doesn't work. It's only certain things that work. And, the interesting thing about it is you can make it really mystical or you can make it really straightforward. But here's the thing. Any way you look at it, you're making it a way. The truth of the matter is you can only see the world out of your own eyes. You can only experience the world with your own filters, your own version. And so the first reason that we're going to talk about today on this second part of why the law of attraction isn't working for you is that your goggles are fogged up. So imagine if I took these glasses, these little goggles I wear to make it so I can see better, and I got them dirty. Well, if I got them dirty and everything I looked at out of this was tainted by what I was seeing through, now all of a sudden I would think, if I didn't realize that I had these glasses on, right, these invisible goggles, if I didn't realize that they were dirty, I would think everything I was seeing looked and felt that way. It would seem as if the world was dirty, that it was fogged up. It was always foggy. Now, that's what you have to remember. You have to ask yourself, hey, am I looking at the world from a perspective that is foggy or not clear? You see, it's very easy, especially in today's world, to get your glasses or your goggles all fogged up because you get stuck behind one perspective. You see, one of the things that is the most important is that you gain new perspectives, and that helps you to see from a more meta position, from a larger position. If you can see it from different places, now you have more options. And when you have more options, you actually have more choices. And when you have more choices, now you can make better decisions. And so when we talk about the law of attraction, we're saying, hey, we attract things that we see, that we experience. And what we experience and what we see, it's sort of a loop. What we experience and what we see is based upon our filters. And if they're foggy, right, our goggles, if they're foggy, then we start to see the world this way. So if everything you see is bad, then you might start to think that everything out there is bad, but that's a limited perspective. And so your goggles might be all fogged up. So put on a different set of goggles. Well, how do you do that? How do you get new perspective? Well, there's lots of ways to do it. You could get a coach. I mean, this is why athletics insists that you have a coach. Why? Because the coach can see things that you can't see from your perspective, from your limited perspective. Therefore, they can have a different set of goggles on. I've coached and trained for years, done a lot of peak performance. And one of the best things I can do for someone I'm working with peak performance wise is I can come in and I can see with a fresh set of eyes. And they can ask me, what did you see? Well, depends. What am I looking for? If they ask me to come in and look at their business, then I can look at their business. If they ask me to come in and look at their relationship, I can look at that. But if they randomly ask me to come in and look at something that's going on and give them feedback, it's almost impossible because I can't see what it is that they'd like me to focus on. But as soon as I know what to focus on, now I can give them good feedback. Okay, now next up on the list, because we're going to talk about 3 things here, is your emotions are sort of the core of everything you do. So if you're wondering why this law of attraction thing isn't working, well, it could be because it's that you're not feeling your way there, you're thinking your way there. And the weird thing about that is that your language matters. And we talked about that in the last episode. So if you haven't seen the last episode, there's probably going to be a card in the top corner to go and check out the first 3 things, right? But we talked a little bit about that. You've got to fix your language, right? Well, here we're talking about fixing the feeling. In most of our religious texts all across the board, if you look back to the philosophies of the early days, it's always about the fact that you need to engage your soul. You need to engage the feeling of the thing you're trying to attain. You want to feel it. And this is why so often when we're talking law of attraction concepts, we're talking about imagining in your head. And I say imagine because you might visualize, you might hear it, you might see it, you might feel it tactilely. There's lots of ways for you to experience something inside of you. And so when we're talking about feeling it, we're talking about emotionally feeling it. That's at the core. And so you have to actually feel your way there. This is a big deal because if you're trying to think your way there, well, that's only one element of it. But the feeling of it, the emotion, the energy in motion is what helps you to get there, right? You're putting energy in motion. You're getting an emotion that gives whatever you're thinking about fuel to move forward. So are you feeling it? Are you engaging your emotion? If not, you probably need some upgrades to your emotional operating system. Now, where have you learned that? Well, of course, we learned it in kindergarten and we learned it in middle school and high school. And of course, we learned it going to college, all of those places, right? No, wrong. Nobody taught you that. Nobody really taught, unless you had a mentor along the way that maybe had some insight. But the odds are that you didn't take classes on how to continually upgrade your emotional operating system. For goodness sakes, we have to get upgrades on the computer system for a refrigerator and now for your car. And now you can't go a month without having to get an upgrade for your smartphone. We have to get upgrades. And here's the thing, you came with a built-in emotional operating system. Nobody really talks about it. I call it an emotional operating system because it's how we operate, but from the emotion side, not from the brain side, but from the emotions. And if you haven't had an upgrade in years, and you're wondering why the law of attraction isn't working, well, maybe you need to upgrade your emotional operating system. And there's lots of ways to do that. There's lots of cool things. If you need some help, comment down below. Need some help, right? Let me know how I can upgrade my emotional operating system, because this is a big deal. If you don't know how to use and engage your emotions, if you don't know how to turn them on, if you don't know how to turn them off, how are you supposed to use them to create? And that's essentially what we're doing with the law of attraction. We are creating movement. We are creating emotion. And when we get energy and motion, all of a sudden now we can start creating the things we want. But when you're trying to do it manually, physically, just from here, I'm not saying that you don't need the physical and the manual. You do. But I'm not saying you don't need the mental. You do. You need all of them. That's why for so many years and for all of our existence, we've talked about that triad. And the triad is this triangle, right? And everybody talks about the triangle in different ways. All the religious texts talk about it in different ways. Everybody discusses the triad in some way, shape, or form. We are going to talk about it in terms of mind, body, soul. And you've heard this. This isn't rocket science, right? But we have to engage all of them. And most of the time, what I find is the emotional operating system, that soul portion of that triad, is missing. It's weak. It is the piece that needs to be filled in. So you only got two sides of the triangle. One side is flopping around. Okay, let's move into the next one. So we're on to this third one. And here's the thing. This one's a little rough because most people at first might think that it's not happening, but it happens to all of us. We contradict what we want. Now, how do we do that? Well, each of us wants and needs all sorts of things. So let's talk about what you need. Maslow, ages ago, right? Classic psychology, Maslow's hierarchy of needs said, hey, you need air, you need water, you need food, and you need shelter. And then he goes on to talk about a number of other things. And yes, indeed, if you need those things, you need those things. If you can't breathe, you can't think about anything else except for being able to breathe. If you don't have shelter, you certainly can't start thinking about things outside of yourself because you need a place to stay. You need some sort of security. Now, that leads to the next one. And good old Anthony Robbins talked about the 6 human needs. And if you haven't heard about it, there's tons of stuff. In fact, one of his famous TED Talks is all about the 6 human needs. You can learn about it. But we have those 6 human needs, and we have to meet those in any way we possibly can. And you can't judge other people for how they're meeting those, because we do some weird things as humans in order to meet our needs. And even when you might think that it's strange that I'm meeting my needs in a certain way and you're meeting them different, that everybody has to attain their needs, what they need as human. But the cool thing that Anthony Robbins figured out was that, hey, if we narrow it down, we need these things: certainty and variety. We need love. We need significance. We need growth. We need contribution. We need all of that stuff. And if we're meeting those, that's when we're the most fulfilled. And if we're not, then things are off. Now, how does that apply to the law of attraction? Well, easy. You might be doing some stuff. You might be saying in your head mentally, and with your language, you might be saying, I want $1 million, or I want a better relationship. But your needs, the things that you need, might contradict what you're asking for. And when you have that contradiction, remember what we just talked about before: the emotions rule the world, right? Your emotions, your emotion, your energy in motion is the thing that is the fuel for what you're asking for. And so if that is contradicting what you need, you might continue to do what you need, even though you're asking for what you want, right? And you might be saying, I'm saying all the right words. I'm doing my affirmations every day. Those are great, and you should. And those are things that need to be part of the mix. However, if you're contradicting yourself, that's tricky. So you might say, well, how do I know if I'm contradicting myself? How do I know if there's a contradiction in what I'm asking for compared to what I need? Well, you have to determine what you need. You have to be able to figure out how much security, how much variety, how much love, and how much significance you need, because it's different for all of us. You might need to figure out how much contribution you need, how much growth you need. Each of us need a certain amount, and we need all 6. There is no doubt. All of them have to be present in the amount that is appropriate for you. So if we can get you in sync, and we'll call that alignment. I usually do this action, right? When we want to be in alignment. And this is huge. This is from back in my ballroom dancing days. I used to be a professional ballroom dancer. And if we weren't in alignment, the movements didn't work, or they looked funny. And so we have to get in alignment. And if we get in alignment with our mind, body, and soul, things start clicking. If we can get out of contradiction of asking one thing and feeling and needing another, everything kind of wobbles. Everything's kind of out of whack. It's sort of like riding a bike faster than you're able to ride it. If you've done that before, the handlebars start to shake if you're going faster than you can handle, until you slow down to a speed that you can stay in alignment with. This is normal. So get your better goggles on. You got to clear them off, wipe them clean. You've got to get new perspective. You've got to get your emotions in check and actually use your emotions to create, because you have to feel your way there. And then lastly, you have to figure out if there are any contradictions. And if you need help with any of this, please let me know. Comment below. I need help with one of these things. One of these things is a challenge, but I want to hear your comments. I want to hear the challenges that you've had, and I want to hear the successes. So those of you that are finding success and you've figured out how the law of attraction works for you, what was the kicker? Which one of these things helped you get into alignment so that you could actually start to create on a level that was outside of your perspective before? I'd love to hear about it. Comment in the comments and let us know. Don't forget, if you like what we're talking about, if you're loving the channel, please please subscribe, please leave us a beautiful comment so that we know that you're enjoying the Magic for Life content. And of course, don't forget, keep finding the magic for life.